Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Accurate 1425 series mortise type automatic door bottoms. These are Accurate's standard duty series automatic door bottoms that are intended to be mortised to the bottom of a door, into the bottom of a door, okay, allowing the sealing of a door when the door is closed. That's how that works. The automatic door bottom works on the principle by which when the door is pushed closed, the seal drops, allowing you to close off the gap between the bottom of the door and the sill or the threshold. And how that's accomplished is actually quite simple. Take note of the fact that this end of the unit has this plunger, we'll call it, or activating bolt. And then take note of the fact that the other end does not have that part at all. When the door is mortised and this is installed into the bottom of the door, this is installed on the hinge side, so that when the door is pushed closed, this makes contact with the frame, and when you make contact with the frame and the door is pushed all the way closed, this has nowhere to go but in, and the action of depressing that plunger forces the bottom to drop. So you'll notice that it doesn't drop down evenly, and that's by design. It's because my thumb will act as the sill, so that when the bottom drops and I restrict it on one end, the other end drops as well. So the action of the closing or the sealing is kind of like a guillotine. One end drops and then the rest comes down to contour itself to a sill that may not be level or a door that may not be plumb. Okay? And this automatic door bottom is the mortise type, meaning that you would create a mortise in the bottom of the door for this entire channel to fit into. The mounting flanges here, of which you can see there are holes for screws, and screws are included, would screw right directly to the bottom of the door. Accurate makes the mortise type like this. They have surface mount models, which can usually be semi-mortise installed as well, where you would have a surface mount unit, but you could route the bottom of the door to fit it so that it's flush. Less common of an application, but you do see that. Mortise is very common, and this model specifically is going to be one you would see in a wood door application, and in particular a non-fire rated wood door application. There is a requirement for you to select the handing of these. This model is technically not handed. You can proceed with confidence to order any hand you want, and it will work because you can take this end and simply reverse it on the other end of the door. There is, if you do want to order it, or curious to know what the handing is, there is a link below this video to what's called the handing chart. So this model features a neoprene insert, and it is typical for them to be shipped long, and you're going to cut that exactly to how you need it to be cut after installation. They are available in several different lengths. This happens to be a 34-inch piece, just is the size of the door that the client needed it made to. Now this model can actually be cut down a substantial amount, generally in the range of about 4-inch. Let's take a look at that and confirm what dimension this can be cut down to. This model, this is a 32-inch, forgive me. Well, they state that it can be cut down up to 10-inch. And generally the screw that you see here is the area that you want to stay away from. I am not a fan of cutting these down in the field because, well, first of all, the factory is making these from pieces anyway. You might as well just order the actual size that you need, since the factory is already cutting all of this material from length and building them per order. In my opinion, there's really no reason to cut something that the factory's already cut and manufactured. With a mortise type like this, you're going to order the net size of this to be the size of the door, the actual width of the door. If your door is beveled, you might want to go, a 1/16 of an inch less than the dimension on the large side, which is the pull side of the door, and then maybe file it, a little bit if your door, if it projects out ever so slightly, but it's probably not going to be an issue at all, given the typical margin is 1/8 of an inch on a door anyway. But you can field cut these down. They say up to 10 inch. I would not count on that. That's a lot to cut down. I would calculate more like 4 inch. Or even better yet, specifically order the size as you need. Mortising this, there is an image below this video showing the dimensions that this item is actually measuring at when you review it. You can see that you've got 1 3/16 overall height of the unit. Pardon me, 1 13/16. I said that wrong. A width of the channel at 21/32. So basically going to be 5/8. Overall width with the flanges, 1.25 inches. Okay. Now there is a link also to the installation instructions. Before we proceed with that, the drop on this is adjustable from 0 to 1 inch. We'll go over more of that in a moment. And it's all of aluminum construction, only made in a mill aluminum because you would never see this item. It's completely concealed when it's installed. Before we move to the instructions, there's a link below this video to the product brochure, and let's take a look at that. The product brochure is nice because it shows this item and Accurate's sister products to it. The 425 is by far the most common, which is what this unit is, featuring a standard size neoprene seal. And neoprene is synthetic rubber. You can see the 425S, which stands for the surface mount, which is a very typical item as well. That can also be semi-mortised, where you'd mortise the entire case flush with the face of the door, as we said before. Above there, you can see the 2 lighter duty versions that they have in the mortise mount. Okay. The 424 series are very common. We sell plenty of those. But then you get to the 426, and those are the heavy duty versions of this material. They are heavier duty because they're more effective, I should say, because they feature a larger surface area of the neoprene making contact with the sill, and that ribbed sort of design is really good for, whatever surface you're applying it down to. If it was, a fluted top threshold, if it was a sill that was otherwise unusual, you might have a carpet situation, larger surface area on that, thicker material. But also, you can see the reference to the polyfin pile. That material on the heavy-duty units rides along the inside face of the channel so that when the drop bar goes up and down, you're still having a seal, not allowing air to get in and around and through the channel. The standard 425 series does not include that sort of feature. Okay, so keep that in mind. But the 425, price-wise, is really the most common one of the 425 and 426 series. Now, moving on to the installation instructions, let's hop over to that. The installation instructions are typically packaged with the material, but if they're not, you can refer to it back here at the link. Let's start at the beginning. These installation instructions apply for the 424, 25, and 26 series with only a couple of notes. Number 1, cut the unit to match the width of the door. We discussed that earlier. If you've got a door that's 35 3/4, that's the net size you want to cut it to, or just simply order it to. Very important note, always cut from the opposite end of the adjusting screw. This plunger or adjusting screw, never cut this end because you would destroy the unit's ability to work. You'd only cut from the opposite end. This is the lock side of the door, so you're only going to cut off the lock side of the door. And this is always the hinge side of the door. Undercut ceiling bar by 1/8 of an inch. And what they're saying here is that when this unit drops, the ceiling bar has a tendency to project out a little bit from the housing, so that when it drops, it doesn't drop straight, it kind of drops on an angle. So what they're saying is the ceiling bar inside of here itself, you're going to want to have that to be 1/8 of an inch less so that you get the proper sort of seal on the item. So that when the door actually closes, because the item moves this way, you're going to have a proper sort of seal at the bottom. That's step 2. Step 3, depending on part number, make the groove the full width of the door. We're doing the 425, so they're saying an 11/16 wide mortise, 1 3/4 deep, the entire width of the door. So an 11/16 wide mortise, that you may not have a 2-flute, 2.5 inch long, 11/16 diameter carbide router bit. however you're going to accomplish that is how you're going to accomplish it. What I would do, well, quite frankly, I would have the bit so that I didn't have to reposition my router. But speaking about that, I would have a router. To the base, I would take a large piece of aluminum angle, and I would bolt it to the base of my router and tip all that forward so I could rest the face of the aluminum angle or fence on the face of the door. And the positioning and the installation of that aluminum angle to the base is such that the center line of the router bit is the center line of the door in terms of thickness, so that I could rest all that on there, being sure to cover the door so that as I take my tool across the face of the door, I'm not scratching it. You might want to put some tempered hardboard along the face to not scratch anything. And get my bit started in just a little bit, 1/8 of an inch, and run it down the entire length of the door. If you've got a 1/2 inch bit, you're going to need to reposition, is the bottom line, and your fence will have to accommodate for that. You have to make, two complete passes at doing that. 11/16, if you had a 3/4 inch bit, while that's not the size that they recommend, you could probably make that work, but those holes get awfully close to where your channel is going to be, the 2 mounting holes. So 11/16 is the proper size. You could probably make that 3/4 inch work. Step 4, mount door bottom into the mortise, making sure the adjusting screw is on the hinge side of the door. You basically get this channel put right in, and then run all your screws in. Rehang your door with the adjusting screw pointed towards the hinge side, and at this time, take it and rotate that clockwise until it's just sticking out about 1/8 of an inch, or just to the point where your fingers can't get it in anymore. Moving to step 5. Turn adjusting screw clockwise until it's approximately 1/8 of an inch beyond the door. Okay. Mount the door back on the hinges, hang the door. Then, close the door. With step 7, with the door in the closed position, contact should be made with the floor or the threshold for the full length of the seal. If full length sealing does not occur, open the door, adjust the plunger counterclockwise, okay, until you've got a proper seal. So basically what you want to do is, well, first understand that the amount of projection of the adjusting rod and the drop are directly related. So as I turn this counterclockwise, I get it to stick out further. Okay? You're going to need to make sure that you're getting that drop so that it's complete across the entire length. Not so much that it's being buried into the seal, into the threshold, because as soon as you go to open the door, you want this drop bar to be retracting as soon as you open it. You don't want this to be dragging across the sill. How this works really is this adjusting rod is connected to a flat spring, and when the adjusting rod is pushed in, that flat spring is forced to belly. It's the bellying action of the flat spring that forces the drop bar to seal, and it does so in such a way that it's kind of like that guillotine concept that we talked about earlier. Once you've got it just so that it seals and no more, then you're done. Automatic door bottoms are elegant because all they do is seal. They push down. They're not being dragged across a high polished floor. They're not going to be in the way of, like a door sweep would be, of a rug left behind the door, or positioned behind the door if it's residential, or shoes left behind the door. There's nothing there hanging off the bottom of the door to scuff, scrape, damage. Pebble gets brought in on a shoe, it's left on the floor, your door sweep goes in and drags that pebble across the face of the door microscopically over thousands of times, that kind of thing. Automatic door bottoms like this are concealed. That makes them elegant as well. You don't see the hardware whatsoever. The only complaint I've ever heard, if I've sold thousands of these, the one complaint I've heard is this. When that snaps back up, it's loud. And it indeed is. There's no question that you can hear it. I don't personally find it a major disadvantage to the concept of an automatic door bottom weighed against why they're elegant solutions. But it has been brought to my attention, so I relay that here. Now, there is, and then the final link is to the handing chart if you wanted to hand your unit properly when ordering, but it's completely reversible, this item. Accurate is a comprehensive manufacturer of many unique solutions to weather stripping. And if you are in the business of making a living as a door installer, etc., by all means familiarize yourself with their entire product line. because they have unique solutions that nobody else has, and it's very interesting to review the possibilities of what can be created with thresholds in particular. Quick, very short lead times, very good technical support, customer service, responsive, etc., and good value for the dollar. If you have any questions on the accurate 1425 or 425 series of mortise type automatic door bottoms or any other accurate product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.